So you want to get started with 2D animation using Moho and you don't know how to get started, I've got you covered, because in this video we will be going through all you need to get started with 2D animation in Moho, from our tools all the way to creating a basic 2D animation in just 15 minutes. Let's get started, guys. For this video, we're going to take a look at our tools, our timeline, our style, and also our layers, and hopefully create an animation before the end of this video. Now, before we get started, here are some things to just keep in mind. Now, over here in Moho, you can see we have a canvas over here, and at the edge of the canvas, it's highlighted with some red line around there. Now, this is to indicate that you are on frame 0, and in Moho, frame 0 is the only frame which allows you to create your characters or add scenes into the scene. Now, aside from the red outline we also have a blue rectangle in our canvas as well. Now, this blue rectangle represents our camera, and whatever is created in Moho within this blue rectangle is going to show when you export your file. We also have some controls to keep in mind, like holding down your left mouse button, you can pan around your canvas. By scrolling your middle mouse button backwards, you can zoom out. You can zoom in by scrolling your middle mouse button forward. By holding down Control and your left mouse button, you can rotate your canvas, and if you hit home, you can restore the orientation of your canvas back to default. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, now is the best time to subscribe. For our tools, we're going to take a look at important tools you need to get started off with Moho. So if you hit S on your keyboard, you're going to select the Draw Shape tool. Now, this is the Draw Shape tool over here. You can use this to draw a lot of shapes. So over here you have a ton of shapes to choose from, and we have a rectangle, an oval, a triangle, a star, we have a pointer over here, so many options to choose from. I'm just going to draw a rectangle in the scene. I can see this is a rectangle. In Moho we don't have a square, but if we want to draw a square, by holding down your shift key and dragging across the canvas, you're going to have a very perfect square in your scene. Also the same as an oval and a circle. The next tool we're going to be looking at is our Select Points tool. This tool allows us to select points in Moho, so I'm just going to select some points like this. So when you have points selected and you want to add to your selection, you can hold down your shift key and select the new points you want to add to your previous selection. Now, the next tool we're going to be looking at is our Transform Points tool. So if you hit T on your keyboard, you can select the Transform tool. Now, this tool allows us to be able to scale, allows us to be able to rotate, and allows us to move our points from one position to another. The next on our list is the Add Points tool. As the name implies, this tool is used to add points into the scene. If you hit A, you're going to select your Add Points tool, and whenever you come across a line, you're going to see a red point around that. So by clicking where you have the red point, you're going to add a point to the scene. The next tool is our Curvature tool, which allows us to add curvatures to rigid joints. So I'm going to hit C to select the Curvature tool. Now, if you look closely, you can see some handles around here. Well, let's just select this. And if we drag across, you can see some handles come out. Now, these are curvature handles, and you can use this to adjust the amount of curvature you have at a joint. And you can also change the amount of curvature here as well. Also going to look at the Freehand tool. So the Freehand tool, if you hit F on your keyboard, you're going to select the Freehand tool, which allows you to be able to draw on your screen with your free hand, and it has a ton of options here. If you want to change your width of your pen, you could either select to be changed according to your pressure, you can randomize that, you can also add a taper, so many options to select from. Now, we've talked about our Draw Shape tool. Another important tool to keep in mind is your eraser. If you're drawing with your freehand tool and you want to erase your line, you could hold down Control while still on the freehand tool, and you can erase something from the scene. You can also hit E to go to the eraser tool, and you can erase from your scene as well. We're also going to talk about the Fill tools. Now, the Style panel is the panel which serves as the Properties panel in Moho. So you have to have an object selected to be able to edit the properties or the style in Moho. Now you can see we have our fill and our stroke. They are grayed out actually. So in order to be able to access the style panel, we're going to hit Q on our keyboard. Now Q is going to take us to the Select Shape tool. Now if I select a shape with the select shape tool, you can see our fill and our stroke are no longer grayed out. So over here we can change the fill in real time, can also change the stroke in real time, can also do the same about the width in real time, can also change the brush we have for that in real time as well. So there are a ton of endless selections to choose in Moho. Now you also have advanced settings where you can add rounded caps, you can also add effects, add more styles to what you have currently, and I'm just going to uncheck this. Now let's take a look at our layers. Now layers are just systems of positioning objects in a 2D environment. So whatever hierarchy your layers are put in determines the hierarchy or the placement of your objects above each other in the scene. So right now everything we have in our scene is on layer 1. So whatever we create in another layer that comes above layer 1, it's going to be above the objects we have in our scene. So now we're going to add in a layer into the scene. So I'm going to come over here to where we have the plus icon and I'm going to click on this. Now you're going to see a ton of layer choices that I can choose from, but we're going to stick with creating a vector layer. Now the vector layer comes by default as layer 2. So if I create another one, it comes as layer 3 and so on and so forth. So now we have this as layer 2. So whatever objects we create in layer 2, it's going to come above layer 1. So I'm going to hit S key to select the draw shape tool and I'm going to draw a shape, and now you can see the shape comes above the objects in the layer 1. If you want to test this out, you can also take layer 2 and take this below layer 1 and you're going to see they interchange and vice versa. We can also duplicate layers. So let's say I select layer 1 and I come over here, so we have this. You can duplicate your layers continuously, endlessly. If you want to select multiple layers, you can hold down shift and select all the layers you want to. And if you want to select layers individually, you could just select them holding down control and you're going to select your layers individually. To delete the layers we don't want, you just select them, come over here where we have this delete layer icon, and you're going to click on this and you delete all the unwanted layers you have in your scene. Let's take a look at our timeline. This lower part of my screen is called a timeline, and now this is where animations are being stored for any animation software. Over here at the timeline, you can see we have a blue line over here. Now this blue line represents our playhead, and this is what we use to scrub along the timeline in Moho. Now at the top, you can see we have a set of numbers over here. Now these numbers just represent what frame you are currently working on. Over here at the top, we have this place which shows frame, and this just shows the current frame you're on. Over here shows where our animation ends. So if you want to change where your animation ends, you could manually just type in the number you want your animation to end at, or you could hold down Alt and right click and you can change where your animation stops. And you see it changes over here. You can also do the same to change where your animation starts from by holding down Alt and left clicking on there. So I'm just going to undo this, sorry. In Moho, we have a sequencer. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to the sequencer. Now, sequencer is just used to manage the timing of our layers in Moho. We also have a motion graph which we use to make more refined animations in this software. We also have the ability to put onion skins for our animation, so we could see where our previous animation frame is on in real time. We also have a lot of different interpolations, so you could just select the one you want depending on the type of animation you're working on. We also have the interpolation interval here as well. We have so many options over here, and also we even have the ability to split our screen over here. So many options. We also have the ability to zoom and zoom out over here as well. We're going to create an animation for this video as promised. So in order to create an animation, we'll have to go back to our layers tab. Now over here at the layer, we're just going to delete everything we have in a scene. Now I'm going to add in a new layer. Now for our layer 1, I'm going to select that and I'm going to trash everything we have for layer 1. I'm going to rename this and I'm going to call this layer ball. So it's going to be a bouncing ball animation. We need to add a ball into the scene. We're going to hit on S. Make sure you are on the draw shape tool. I'm going to select the oval shape. I'm going to hold down shift and I'm going to draw a circle. I'm going to hit on Q and I'm going to select the circle we have in our scene. Now when you have this circle selected, we're going to go to our style and we're going to change the color. I'm going to select the style and I'm going to give this ball a blue fill, and for the stroke I'm going to give this a black stroke. I'm also going to reduce the size of the width of our ball. I'm just going to take this down to about this point. I think this is good. We can then start with our animation. Now in Moho, you can animate using bones, or you can animate normally without using armature or bones. So for this one, we're going to be using bones because that makes our tutorial a lot more easier. In order to use bones, we have to create a bone layer. Now I'm going to come over here to where we have ball, and I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to group this into a selection. I'm going to select the group and I'm going to rename this group to be called ball bone. Okay, now I'm going to right click on the ball bone group and I'm going to convert this into a bone. Now we've converted this into a bone. If you come over here to our tools tab, you can see that our tools have changed. But if I go back to our ball layer, you can see our tools come back to normal. So just keep that in mind. When you're on the bone layer, you're going to see your tools will change. You want to make sure you're going to select the add bone tool, or if you hit A on your keyboard, you're going to select the add bone tool. Now I'm going to add in a bone to about this point, like this, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to rename this to ball. Okay, by default our bone isn't attached to our ball, so we need a way to attach our bone to the ball. So what are we going to do about this? Now what we're going to do about this is that we're going to make sure we have our bone selected. I'm going to go to our ball layer and I'm going to hit I. So I just takes us to the bind points tool. Now this is the bind points tool, and now this tool allows us to bind points to specific bones. So I'm going to select all the bones of the ball and I'm going to bind this to that very easily. Then we go back to our ball bone layer. Make sure you're no more on frame 0, and if you hit T, you can move your ball around the scene. I'm going to go back to frame 0, make sure you are at the desired point you want, and I'm going to come over here to where we have frame 1, and I'm just going to add in some keyframes. Now for our interpolation, I'm going to select the ease in interpolation, and over here I'm just going to click on this. So this is going to reset our animations back to frame 0. So whatever we have on frame 0 is what we're going to have on frame 1 as well. I'm going to select the ball. So we're going to eyeball where our ground is meant to be. So I'm just going to hold down shift and I'm going to, let's move to frame 6. And I'm going to eyeball the ground. I'm going to hold down shift, select my bone, and I'm going to drag this down to about this point over here. If I move my playhead along the timeline, you can see how the animation moves down very nicely. You can see it moves straight all the way to the ground. You'll notice that when the ball is coming down, we might want to put in a squash and stretch. So about this point, I'm going to drag the bone upwards, so we can have a stretch around here. So you see it starts like this, goes down, and when it collides with the floor at this point, now we want the ball to be like this at frame 6. So I'm going to hit Ctrl F and we're going to add in some keyframes over at this point. Let's just add in some keyframes over here at frame 1 as well. And now you see when the ball comes to this frame over here, it stretches. It does the same at frame 6, and then maybe at frame 8 we're going to make the ball go down a little bit like this. So let's just test this out. I'm going to end the animation here and let's just test this out. You can see how the ball does when it drops. If you notice where the ball squashes to the floor, it's a bit too slow, so I can move this animation closer and this is better. Now I want the ball to go back up when it gathers momentum. So when the ball comes down, we're going to hold this keyframe over here. So I'm going to hit Ctrl F and the animation is going to be held all the way to frame 12, and I'm going to make this ball go back to normal size, that is normal position. So let's just test this out so you can see. And maybe I'll just select these frames and move them. Maybe at this point I'm going to increase the stretch of the ball. So let's just test this out, and now you can see the ball moves up and down very nicely. Okay, so this is a basic animation. You tell me what you think about this, and please do subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one, guys.